Yo, what up guys? Today I have a really cool video for you. Basically, it's a full guide for beginners for how to get into Mythic Dungeons. It seems like I've been running across a lot of people that either are PvP players that don't even know what Mythic Dungeons are or how to start them, or new players into WoW from the new patch, or people that are coming back from years. I know a lot of people that are probably watching this video already know what Mythic Dungeons are, so like I said, this is a beginner guide of just a quick overview about everything that you could need to know when you're just starting out with Mythic Dungeons. So if you like the video, hit that subscribe button. We got games, tips, guides, everything for this channel that's about MMO, RPGs, and some gaming apps and too to help you out. So I hope you like the video, and let's get right into it. If you guys don't already know what a Mythic Dungeon is, basically it's just a harder dungeon than a normal dungeon and a heroic dungeon. You also have to, you can't just queue for it like in the group finder. You have to actually go physically to the dungeon to set it up, and make sure you change your dungeon difficulty to Mythic. And I'll show you real quick how you do that. So for Shadowlands and 9.2, which is where we're at right now, there's 8 dungeons. You can see on the screen here, there's one that I'm at right now, which is Necrotic Wake. Swear's Ascension, there's a couple in Maldraxxus, 2 in Ardenweald, and then 2 in Revendreth. And then there's also 2 that's, it was basically one mega dungeon last patch, but they separated it into 2 different dungeons, which is basically, you can see here, I'm kind of like circling it in the middle of this freaking area. You can see there's 2 separate dungeons there. From the meta dungeon, Tazavesh, really cool dungeons. You definitely should check them out, but all the dungeons are really fun. I think you'll find ones that you like more than you'll like others. Right here is the summoning stone, so once you run over the dungeon, you can also summon other players. A dungeon is a 5-player activity, so you can just summon the other people that aren't there. You need at least 2 people to summon. If you are doing a Mythic Plus key, then you just enter in your key right here. You would just grab it from your inventory. If you're not doing a Mythic Plus key, you're just doing Mythic Normal, then you wouldn't drag a key at all. You would just complete through the dungeon itself. Super easy, and once you do the Mythic Dungeon on a character once per week, then you can't get loot on that same character that week. Yeah, so for Mythic Zeros, which is Mythic Normal, you can only get the loot once per character for that dungeon. So you could do, there's 8 right now, and with Tazavesh, there's technically 9, 10. So you get loot with one character on all of those dungeons at Mythic 0, and then you can do that for each character that you have if you have a bunch of alts and stuff like me. Which I'm doing right now is I'm playing one of my alts, which is I'm doing a level 2 key. Super chill, super fun. A Handsome Shaman, fantastic by the way. If you haven't tried one or want to play one, you should. They're doing great this season. But you should also check out the add-on called Saved Instances on CurseForge. It's really fantastic for checking what mythics you've done on each character, especially if you have a bunch of alts, you're playing a bunch when you're just getting started. Super helpful, and I'll post a link in the down below to where you can find it and all that jazz. So the next thing you're probably going to want to know for Mythic Dungeons is affixes and how they work. So starting off with your lowest keys, so basically keys can go up to, really high, plus 30 keys. So, and with each key plus, like plus 2 key, plus 3 key, plus 4 key, and all that jazz, with each key, it grows in difficulty. Starting with the lowest keys, which is like plus 2, you get 2 affixes that rotate every other week. One is Tyrannical, which increases bosses' health by 30%, and they do 15% more damage along with their minions. And the next one is Fortified. It buffs non-boss enemies, damage by 30% and health by 20%. They stay that way every key past level 2, plus level 2. I would say that Tyrannical is usually harder weeks to do Mythic Dungeons, so if you're looking to start out, looking for those Fortified weeks is probably a better way to go. I know they nerfed Tyrannical recently, so that's a positive, but it is definitely more difficult, I would say, for most groups. Your next change for affixes is plus 4 keys, so plus 4 and up. You get another random affix, and I'll post this link down below where you guys can find more information for all these affixes, because if we go over those in depth, it's a lot. But I'll post the link below so you can check that out. Level 7 keys and up, add another affix, and again I'll post a link down below. But you can see here with all the affixes that they're possible to have once you get to those higher keys. So the next affix, which is a pretty cool affix, is the seasonal affix. This only applies to keys that are plus 10 and up. The new seasonal affix is encrypted. I'm not going to go into it a ton here, but I'll post a link down below that'll give you more of a description of what the encrypted is specifically. But it's where basically 3 relics will spawn throughout the dungeon, and you get to kill a specific relic, which spawns this enemy that you'll kill, and it'll give you a buff. It will give your whole group a buff, depending on which relic you kill. A decrypted buff. It seems like a really cool affix. I don't have a ton of experience with it yet so far, but I'm definitely going to get more as I'm going through this season on my main. But the seasonal affixes are super fun. So just to explain, so for each one of these keys, once you get to +2 keys, you get 1 affix. Once you get to +4 keys, you have 2 affixes. Once you get to +7 and up, you get 3, and then 10 and up, you get 4. And those rotate weekly. The seasonal affix changes every week during that season. Stays the same every week during that season, and then the tyrannical and fortified changes every other week, rotates, and then the level 4 and level 7 will rotate throughout. So some keys will be definitely easier than other ones. Some affixes will make it harder on healers or harder on tanks, harder on DPS. Some will make it harder on everybody, for sure. But that's what makes them so much fun. So even though it may be the same, 8 to 10 dungeons that you're doing every week on each character, the affixes make it change. So every pull could be different than the last, and you want to do something a little bit different. It's so engaging and fun, and it's part of the reason why I love it so much. And as you get higher in the keys, so like I mentioned, I think earlier in the video, that you can get to really high keys, +10, +10, +15, +20, +25, +30 keys. Last season I think some of the best teams were pulling +30 keys, low +30 keys, or high 20 keys. So those are really hard. And I think since everybody's kind of like gear is buffed and you have more health, do more damage and all that stuff, and with double legendaries, you'll be able to even push into low 30s, maybe mid 30s if you really wanted to challenge yourself. But I highly suggest giving them a try. They're absolute blast. For the new people or the people that are just come back into WoW, one of the best ways to gear it in this game is through Mythic Dungeons. At the end of each dungeon, depending on what keystone level you do, you could get a possible chance at loot, as you can see here on the screen. At the end of the dungeon, for a +15 key, you can get a 262 drop for a piece of gear. And at level 2 you get a 236, and then it kind of goes up as you go down. Some of those same level of keys drop the same loot, like 8 and 9 252, 10 11 255, all that jazz. Then you can get even a higher reward from the Great Vault depending on that key. So if you do a +15, you get a 278 piece of gear from the Great Vault. That's guaranteed, and that's each character. Which is pretty cool. The more Mythic Dungeons you do, the more loot you get to basically pick from in the Great Vault. You can only pick 1 piece of gear, so the more you do is good. You get a reward for completing 1 Mythic Plus dungeon for the week. You get a reward for completing 4, and then 8. So like I said, you get a new reward for each one of those once you hit those like milestones basically for the Mythic Dungeons, but you get to pick 1 of those rewards. It just gives you more options in case you're missing a specific piece of gear. I love Mythic Dungeons. I can't even tell you how many Mythic Dungeons I've already done since the season started, like I think a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And they're just so much fun. The affixes that you get to change once you go higher up in level. The higher up levels you go, the more challenging they are, the more they test your group and you as an individual, like in your character. It's cool being able to gear your character with each of this stuff, what I found recently is that I'm an altaholic. I love alts so much, and Mythic Dungeons is such a fun way to test out new characters that I like, to see if I like them or if I don't like them, how far I can push them in the dungeon, seeing how one character might be better in a specific dungeon or another character might be. It's just a blast. The affixes change up, so much of the game. I've been doing the same dungeons now for a long time, and I don't get bored of them. With the affixes, they change it up every time to where it feels like you're doing a different dungeon, even if it's the same run. And Mythic Dungeons might not be for you, but I would highly suggest checking them out. One thing I would say to you though is be careful of the community sometimes. Not the whole community, but there is a toxic side of WoW, if you didn't already know. And some of you are probably laughing at me at that because it is true. And with the Mythic community specifically, there are some toxic players. They have a hard time with people that don't know what they're doing or just learning, so it's hard to get into stuff when people are so rude about it. But there are a lot of cool people that actually do Mythic Dungeons that are helpful towards other players if you don't know what you're doing. I would suggest joining a guild. joining a guild is a great way to meet new people, meet friends, and to help you through some of this content, especially if you're looking to push for harder content, higher mythics. But don't let the negativity and the toxic people pull you away from something that you enjoy. After all, this is a game, and you're just supposed to have fun with it. That's the whole purpose of this. So yeah, don't let people get you down, and give it a shot. If you've made it this far, I just want to say thank you, first of all, for listening to my voice for so long. But I hope this guide really helped you out. I really wanted to have something out for people that are just wanting to get into it, that do other types of content and WoW, that have been wanting to push Mythic content, but they haven't wanted to because they're nervous or scared, or people are rude as heck sometimes, or whatever. Or for the new people coming back to the game. Yeah, anyway, so I hope this video helped you out. If you liked the video, like the video. And consider subscribing. Like I said, I post content about MMORPGs, games, tips, guides for gaming apps, all that stuff on here. So anyways, thank you so much, and until next time, peace.